Washington, D.C. has a lot of museums, and by a lot, I mean 74 museums just in this area. So, if you're only visiting D.C. for a short amount of time, how are you supposed to parse through the dozens of museums and pick the best one? Well, in my humble opinion, there's a clear winner. The Spy Museum. While we're exploring this museum, I'm going to show you why this is my favorite museum in Washington, D.C. But first, if you're new here, my name is Zoe-Daphnee, and I'm a full-time student living in New York City who loves to find adventure one song at a time with my best friend, Cello Z. Unfortunately, my cello couldn't come into this museum today, but he might make an appearance later on. Okay, let's explore. In the briefing room, we get our first taste of the completely immersive experience that is the International Spy Museum. Here, we get an ID card and are assigned a covert identity, a code word, and a mission. This interactive element is one of the many reasons I love this museum. As we move through the exhibits, we see stations where we can scan our badges and enter our assigned code word. At these stations, we complete tasks based on what we learned in that exhibit. For example, after visiting the concealment exhibit, which displays real spy gadgets disguised as everyday items, we then created our own hidden compartment gadgets on the screen in order to complete our secret mission. We also got to create our own disguise and so much more. Not only did this individual storyline and mission keep us engaged throughout the museum, it also helped us learn and retain the information presented in the exhibits because we got to apply it ourselves. In addition to being able to check in at stations to complete the mission, there are more interactive elements that relate to the exhibits. Although they aren't attached to a storyline, they are a great way to try some of the spy tactics yourself. For example, you can participate in the process of elimination to find Osama bin Laden, sort through socks to find a bomber, assess the personality of John F. Kennedy, analyze buildings for invasions, and so much more. I was initially drawn to this museum because DC is known for being the home of the US government, and I think one of the most interesting parts of this government is what happens behind closed doors. Since the government is making the details of these gadgets and covert operations public knowledge, it's safe to assume that current spy tactics and missions are a lot more complex than what we see in this museum. That thought makes all of this 10 times cooler. Although I loved all of the interactive exhibits here, a few of them really stuck out to me, and one of them is kind of a hidden gem. Many people walk right by it without even noticing. Let's start with my boyfriend's favorite, the 1-minute pull-up challenge. This exhibit challenges you to live your Hollywood spy dreams and hang off a building for up to 1 minute. There are a few other exhibits that make a point of showing Hollywood versus reality, but I love that this one really leans into the movie tropes. There's always a line for this one, but it's super worth it. This next exhibit is a hidden gem because it's a little hard to find. Keep your eyes peeled for this sign and head up the stairs to crawl through an air duct like all the spies do in the movies. Another exhibit I really enjoyed was the very first one, where you can not only hear the stories from past and present spies told by themselves or an actor, but also see them through these projected images. If I tried to list all the clever, interactive elements of this museum, this video would be several hours long. So instead of listening to me ramble about it, I highly suggest you come out to DC and check it out for yourself. And listen, let's say for some reason you don't care about spies. You don't care about completing a covert mission, you don't care about interacting with the cool exhibits. Well, you will still have a great time at this museum, despite your disinterest in cool things. And the reason is, apart from all of the amazing knowledge found here, this museum is visually stunning. hope that this video inspired you to put the International Spy Museum high on your bucket list. As you can tell, this is hands down one of my favorite museums ever, and I'm sure that once you experience it, you'll agree. Thank you so much for coming along with me to explore my favorite museum in DC. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us out. I'll see you in the next one.